welcome to Guitarist TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and I'm honored to have back on the show our special guest today is a guitarist. I really should say a composer, musician, Ron Coolen, because Ron, well, a lot of people know you for your guitar playing these days. You started out as a drummer, and as you were sharing with us last time I talked to you, you're primarily a drummer for most of your life. So let's talk a little bit about that. The latest single, I should say, is Shake Me to the Floor, and it features Keith St. John and lead vocals and Joey Capuchon, another guitar player on the track. So let's talk about that first, because I tell you, I know it's a great tribute to the guitar god Eddie Van Halen, and you and Keith had a real passion for everything Van Halen. So let's talk about the track.
Sure.
So I guess let's start off with, did it start out with a guitar riff, and then Keith got hold of the track and created lyrics, or did you guys work on the track together?
Well, the way we usually work is that I write the basic of a song. So it means like an intro of a verse, a chorus, a bridge, a solo part, and so I write the structure of the song with the rhythm guitar in it, with the drums in it, the bass in it, and keyboards if there is any. And then I send those to Keith, and then he starts doing his thing, doing the magic trick with the lyrics and the vocal melody. So he's writing the melody to the song and then coming up with lyrics.
And as many people may know, Keith St. John, got his start in the music industry, playing actually in Montrose, and you could see why Ronnie Montrose would pick him to be in Montrose, because he's got very much kind of that Sammy Hagar kind of feel to what he does, and he's great at writing his own lyrics, and he's got his own thing going. But you can see why he was picked for that gig.
Yeah, but I mean, Keith is an incredible talent,
With sure. I mean, a great singer in his own right. Look at his body of work, is what I'm saying. So I think it's great that you and him got this kind of partnership. You collaborate. I mean, in prepping for the interview today, I also finally got a chance to see the video for the song Heavy Metal Till I Die. Great looking video. Anybody that's into like LA kind of 80s rock type, I think you'll love the video. It's a great fun video.
I think it was it's we both come from that period, and we both grew up in that period. So it's in our DNA, and that's the music we grew up on. That's the music we love. That's the music we make. So I think the video exactly gives that atmosphere.
You, Ron, you're from Europe. So how old were you when you first kind of became aware of Van Halen and Eddie Van Halen in particular? Do you remember how old you were and how big they were in part of the world where you were from?
I think my first memory of Van Halen going back is that when the Van Halen 2 album was just released, and it was massively promoted on Dutch radio, because we feel for Van Halen, because Alex and Eddie of course have Dutch roots. So when the Van Halen 2 album came out, and I was blown away with it, and then I went to search for Van Halen 1. And then soon after, the preparation or the press started for the Women and Children first album. Then they came to home. I was just massive fan.
Who's not a Van Halen fan, huh? And it makes sense. I didn't even think about the fact that the Van Halen brothers are Dutch, so that makes sense that why you would kind of hone on to what they were doing. And you go back to that very first Van Halen album. You talk to kids today, or anybody, just rock fans in general, a lot of people today aren't even aware of who the Kinks are. They think You Really Got Me is truly a Van Halen song.
And
that's partly because look at what they did to the track. I mean, they really honed it and made it their own. And so there's that. And then like by the time you get to Van Halen 2, which is kind of where you kind of latched onto them, like many people, the big hit at the time I remember was Dance the Night Away. Great radio kind of poppy tune, but that's one of those tunes you can never get out of your head.
Exactly.
And
so that I think that's where my memory goes back to the most far in history, which was the release of Van Halen 2.
And in prepping for today's interview and not knowing I was going to talk to you, I went on your Facebook page, and you you posted this guy's reaction to "Shake Me to the Floor," and he thought and said exactly like what I thought when I heard the track. For anybody that does not like the song, there's something wrong with you. It's a great party tune. It's just a great rock tune. It's all about having a good time, and it's kind of interesting because I don't know if this is on an album or you're working towards an album, but songs are created differently. Where back in the day, you have a whole album worth of tunes and they'd have to all sound the same. But this is the modern age, and people are releasing a track at a time, and it's kind of interesting that just on the one song alone, I think anybody that hasn't heard Ron Coolen, they hear this track one time or for the first time, they're going to be like, wow, who is this Ron Coolen? How the hell have I not heard of him? I want to go out and get some more of his music,
Yeah. Well, if that's the result that it's going to be, then I'm very happy, because that's kind of what I'm aiming at. Because the Heavy Metal Till I'm Dead was the first single. This is the second single, but they are both songs of the new album, of a full album. And so it's a kind of a introduction to the album, which is going to be out in November.
Oh, great! What a great way to end the year, huh?
Yeah.
Great,
so,
great stocking stuffer.
In that way, I'm kind of old school as well, because I'm not the guy that produces a single every month or every 2 months, and I like to work on full album, and that tell a total story. And so there's a full album on the way, and I was just today in the studio all day finishing the mixes. So I think we're at 99% finished the mix, and the plan is to release it second half of November.
And I don't know where I've been, but this track also features great guitar player named Joey Capuchon. I think that's the name, if I'm saying it right. Talk a little bit about how you guys hooked up with him and getting him to play on it track.
Yeah, he when I was in the process of finding musicians for my first album, I came across him because he filled in Arch Enemy. I don't know if you know Arch Enemy, but they're a big death metal band over here.
Yeah, I heard of them.
Yeah. Jeff Loomis, who is a great American guitarist, he plays in Arch Enemy, and he had to skip a gig at a massive festival, and then they asked Joey to fill in for him for 1 or 2 gigs.
Yeah.
And if you can replace Jeff Loomis, then
you got something
then you are really good. So I thought, well, let's find out more about this guy. And he was, just like me, he was very unknown. And but I tracked him down, and I looked at his previous work and some videos, and he was just incredible. And he happened to be his teacher, Christopher Amott, who happens to be kind of a friend of mine, and who's also on my first album and also my new album.
Sure.
So he taught Joey for a while. So that they brought us together. He brought us together, and then I asked him for the first album, and then because he did such a great job, I asked him for this album as well.
And so I'm assuming, Ron, on this track, you also play some of the guitar. So how did you decide? How did you guys, decide he was going to play what guitar parts?
Well, that's very simple, because Joey does all the soloing.
Okay.
And I do all the rhythm guitars.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So you kind of feel comfortable in your place as a rhythm guitar player to allow these other guys to come on and kind of do their thing, huh?
Yeah, because I'm not good at playing solos, at least not to the level that I wanted on the album. So these guys are so good, so I can never reach that level in soloing. So I let other people do that.
It's funny to hear you say that, because again, anytime I read anything about Ron Coolen, it's what a great guitar player is. But I think that's part of why these tracks are so good, that you get these other guys to come on and they do their thing, and it is really like a full band, project where everybody on the track really shines and brings something to the table.
Yeah. I mean, that's I do a lot on the album, but there's also a lot that I don't do, and and what I don't do is the things that I'm not good at, and then I try to find people that are complementary to me or that are good at what I'm not at, and I think when you add everything up, then it sounds really great.
I think you make a great point, because I think it's important to kind of know your place, know what you're capable and what you're not capable. Because so many times you'll have people like kind of doing too much, and it just doesn't work out for whatever reason. So again, and then I think when people hear the name Ron Coolen, they check out the music. Oh, he's got Keith St. John, he's got Joey Capson, musicians of that caliber. It piques their interest. Okay, well, there must be something to this guy Ron Coolen, what he's doing. Let's check it out.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely something that attracts people if they hear.
Because again, I mean, people that caliber, they're not going to get involved with something if they don't think there's something special about it.
Yeah, that's right. Then they don't want to attach their name to something that sucks. So
And again, I love the video for Heavy Metal Till I Die. Talk a little bit about the making of the video, and do you have any plans maybe for a video for this song, the new single?
Yeah, maybe about a video for this song. We might do that later. Release it later, but there's not a concrete plan now because we got so many stuff to do to release the album in the first place. And for me, that's a higher priority now. And I do everything on my own. So I have my own. I am my own record company, so I need to do all releasing and the marketing, etc. So that has a higher priority now to get the album out. Although I do like making videos, and the one for Heavy Metal Till I'm Dead, that was the whole editing was done by Keith, and I think he did a great job. He's also very good at that. And there are shots. Keith and I met in December in person in Paris. Keith was over for a week, so I went to Paris and we met for a few days. And we went to the cemetery where Jim Morrison is buried.
Wow, Paris, yeah.
And so we came up on that cemetery, and it was a beautiful cemetery, not just with graves and a cross, but complete buildings and castles that were graves of families. And so we went up there, and it was freezing cold, so there was no one there. It was completely empty. And then Keith said, well, shit, this is great for shooting videos. So you see in the videos, you see some shots where Keith is on graves or is at crosses, and that's actually on that cemetery.
Wow, how cool! Actual set.
Yeah. So that was where it was shot, and then the other parts, the parts where Keith is in, were shot in Vegas and in LA, where he resides.
Wow, you really took it around the world. I mean, at least visually, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And of course, you and Keith have worked on a lot of projects over years. But let me ask you, was this actually the first time you guys sat down and met face to face?
No, it was not the first time. We met before. The first time we met was in 2019 when Keith came over with Doug Ulrich to Europe to do a European acoustic tour, Burning Rain songs and some old classics. So the two of them did an acoustic tour, and that's when we met for the first time. And that was just after he did his vocals for his first song on my first album. So
And let me ask you, Ron, about being an independent artist. Is that something you enjoy? I mean, or do you kind of do it out of necessity? I guess what I'm asking. I'm sure a guy of your talent has been offered record deals. I mean, if the right deal came along, do you think you'd take it, or do you have a preference to continue to be an independent artist?
Well, I like being independent.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a double-edged, but like the thing to me is, if you're able to sell your CDs and you get your videos and stuff on the proper, I mean, you seem to get good numbers for your videos and your tracks. Why not? Because then the money goes right back into you and what you're doing, as opposed to the label, right?
Yeah, I think the label, the marketing, the releasing, etc. I can, my theory is always, I don't think there's anyone who can do it with the same passion for it as I can do it.
I agree with that.
And I think I have a deal now for the new album, but I have a distribution deal, and that's different. That's a label is something else for me than a distributor. Make sure it gets in the retail, gets in the stores, and that's something where someone else can add value. And so I have a distribution deal, and all the label parts I do myself. And I mean, I am independent, and I don't like people to tell me what to do, or you hear all these stories, that people of late say, I don't like that song, or you need to finish in 2 months, or you need to do this, you need to do that. And I want to be,
I do what you want to do. And that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I was just interviewing an artist the other day, and they're very much in the same line of being a very independent artist. And the guy was telling me, I don't really want to be signed to label for many of the same reasons you said. He said, we're really passionate about what we're doing. Who's going to sell your stuff? Who's going to promote it better than you? You're in the band. You're writing and creating the music. He says, we have just recently, and again, an independent artist says, we print up the CDs ourselves. We sell them, through our service or whatever. People buy them. He says, we've sold out of the CDs. We got to print up another set of CDs, and people are going to have to wait like 3 weeks just to get the CD. So when you hear about an independent artist like that doing it on their own, why would you want a middleman telling you when you can or can't release it? No, we got these other releases coming out first. You don't have to worry about any of that.
And it's not that there's a bag of money lying there on the table.
Exactly, yeah.
It's just not there, So I don't see the value of a label that way.
And let's look at the fact that even a band like Def Leppard, huge popular band still worldwide, their latest album went to #1, but that was like, it went #1 for 1 week, and then people stopped talking about it. You know what I mean? Okay, it was a #1 album, but who's talking about the album now?
Yeah, and that's a challenge, I think, for every artist. How long can you remain relevant, and how long can you keep? There's so many music coming out because because of all these tools, and everyone can be an artist. Everyone can release music. There's actually a shitload of music being released. So how long can you be relevant? That's a question.
And see, I even have more of a passion myself as a music fan for independent artists like yourself, Ron. I mean, I don't take anything away from people that go on shows like American Idol. They definitely got some kind of talent. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the show. But a lot of those artists, they don't even write their own music. They have somebody else from the show or a record label. We're going to write your songs, and we'll tell you what's going to be the hit. You're just kind of the mouthpiece. You're a talent. Whereas the guy that writes you create a great guitar riff. You get these other talented people to come in, and you guys all do your thing, put a great track out, and I got a lot more passion for that, and I'm so excited to hear the album's coming out in November. I'm going to get it once it comes out because I've done 2 interviews now, and the last 2 tracks I've just really dug, and it leaves me with the thought: if these 2 tracks are this kick-ass and this good, I can't wait to hear what the rest of the album sounds like.
I mean, I think the rest of the album is at the same level. That's what my opinion is. And there's more. There's some metal on it. There's some really real metal song is on it. There's a ballad on it. There's a few more songs in the style of "Shake Me to the Floor." So it's a mixture of things.
And you look at Van Halen. I mean, who this is supposed to be a tribute to. I mean, you look at every Van Halen album is a little different. They've got different types of songs. I mean, like we talk about everything from "Dance the Night Away," "Jump" to right now, there's a little bit of something for everybody out there who was a Van Halen fan.
So who knows? I'm actually very anxious to get it out and curious to find the response, to find out what the response is going to be.
Well, it must be a great feeling that even with the latest single and "Heavy Metal Till I Die," I mean, the numbers on those tracks are great. People are streaming them before the album's even out. It's up on YouTube. And again, before this is a new day. Before you don't even have the album out, and people are responding to it.
So that's very, very rewarding to.
And I can see why you can continue to do it. And let me ask you, Ron, have you ever? I know you're very much a solo artist, and you get these other guests to come on and play on your track. Have you ever had the urge to form a full band? Like, would you ever think of forming a band, a full band with like Keith St. John, since he seems to appear on a lot of tracks, or you like to continue just to do it the way you've been doing it?
Well, for the moment, recording wise, I prefer to do it in this format.
Sure.
And I would love to continue working with Keith. There's a lot more new stuff that I already wrote, and that I'm sure Keith will do great jobs again on those. So recording wise, I would prefer to continue for the next couple of years in this format.
I understand why if it ain't broke, like they say, why fix it, right?
Yeah, but it's always you need to remain sharp, and not every time you need to be aware that expectations rise, and you want to every time you want to exceed people's expectations, you want to exceed your own expectations, and there can always be a time that that you can't that how shall I say it? That's over.
Yeah.
The magic is over. That can happen, and you need to be. I want to stay ahead of that moment. So always ask is the sparkle still there? Is it really good? And can I be proud of this? And yeah, but in the end, there's always a time when things finish. And but yeah, that's how I would like to record. But Keith and I have also said to each other, yeah, we need to bring this to live stages. So we both, in the back of our minds, we want to go out and play it live. But it's, it depends on the amount of interest.
And again, because of the huge difference in where you live, I mean, I'd imagine it'd have to be select dates, but that would make it that much more special. I mean, could you imagine, being where you are from the, near Amsterdam, and Keith living here in America? I mean, just think about that. People going to different countries to see you guys play live. That would be so cool. Just think about how far some people might travel just to see you guys play live.
Yeah. That would be my next ultimate dream, to bring this to a stage. But on the same hand, it's difficult to get that organized, and it costs tons of money, and so I need to think that really good through to see what the options are and if it's feasible at all.
Yeah, and here's a crazy question in regards to, like, if you guys were to go out and do some live dates. Do you think, like, as far as doing any kind of rehearsals, do you think you'd have to actually get together, get in the same room and practice, or do you think like you could have like a practice session over Zoom or something?
No, we need to be together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
At least I need to be. I'm a slow learner, so I need a bit of time. And I'm not the kind of guy. There are people that are so good. They can, they listen, they play it, and they go in and they play it live. That's not me. I need to practice a couple of times.
And Ron, I think if you and Keith were to put a band together and go on even select dates, it would be such a special event. Obviously you can't go everywhere because of where you live, but I think it'd be such a special event. People would come out, and I do think maybe you guys could record it, maybe to record like a live CD, and people would love to check that out.
Yeah. I mean, if we would get to play live, then we would for sure, make the most of it. Make maybe a live video or a live recording, or do something with that.
Because I would say even people can't come and check it out. If you put out a live CD or something, people would definitely want to check that out. And if you guys were to do live shows, if you thought, would you be playing the guitar? Would you be playing the drums? If you thought what you would be playing on stage?
Yeah, guitar. I would play. I consider myself now. I consider myself a guitarist.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's why I asked. Because you told me you're primarily a drummer starting out, and what was that transition like? I mean, you probably still consider yourself a much better drummer, but are you at a place where you're comfortable getting up on stage and doing the thing with the guitar?
Yeah, I mean, it was in my. I think it was 6-7 years ago. I was playing in an AC/DC cover band. I was drumming in that AC/DC tribute band, and then at some point I said, now I'm done with it. Now I'll pick up the guitar and I want to. And then I became Malcolm Young, so I started to play rhythm in that same band.
The reason I bring it up a lot and I talk about it is because I would think as a musician that would be an interesting transition. You go from being the drummer in the back of the stage where you're sitting down, so now you're up in the front of the band, the rest of the guys, and all eyes are on you. You're not necessarily sitting down, and you got to pay attention and move all over the place. So that ought to be a lot more fun. That you're getting to move around a lot more.
Yeah, but when I was a drummer, I always thought, everyone's watching me. I'm doing crazy stuff. And then when I played guitar in front of a stage, I thought no one's looking at the drummer. No one cares. There was too much light or playing in the dark. The drummer, so. Yeah, but it was it was nice to play, to play in front of the people, and there's more contact, there's more in touch, and you can see their smiles and see people singing, and so the interaction is much better than when and much more interaction than when you're a drummer.
Yeah, because I interviewed a couple times Albert Bouchard. He's the original drummer from Blue Oyster Cult, and he's put out a lot of great solo albums. He's telling me that he's doing that now. He says, people know me as a drummer, but these days I'm up fronting the band, I'm singing, I'm playing guitar. And he says it's a very different thing. But and even Carmine Appice, legendary drummer, real physical player, he was telling me, he says, that's why my approach, no matter what band I'm in, I get real physical with the drum playing. I want people to pay attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have the concept of like imagine if you were able to bring the drummer to the front of a stage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I like it this way, so I like being a guitarist, and I like to play guitar, and feel the power coming from the amp, and feeling it, in your back, and so no, I definitely would play the guitar, but I would play rhythm guitar, and I would need another guitarist live.
Sure.
For playing solo.
And again, I could, the other way I say you're like Eddie Van Halen, and as far as him being an influence on you, is not only you a great guitar player, but musician, composer, and people forget, that Van Halen did not start out playing keyboards. That's something he brought into the band later on in their career. And Eddie's just a great songwriter. I mean, he was very much involved with the sound and the production of the band.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Ron. It was a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you again. I'd like to do this again once the full album is out and we get a chance to hear the full track. Now, is the album completely done? Have you recorded the tracks and it's just kind of in the mixing stage, or where are you with that?
Yeah, we are mixing is 99% finished. So I try to sign it off the next couple of days. Then it will be mastered.
Yeah.
And then it's CDs will be produced, so there will be a physical CD.
Okay, great. And
the artwork
final
is
question for the day, Ron. Since you're obviously a Van Halen fan and he heavily influenced you, I got to ask, hard question. Is there one particular Van Halen album that you would say, when I think of Van Halen, that's the album that really did it for me?
That would be Women and Children First.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite. I don't know why, but got great rock and sound. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in my case, first time I heard Van Halen 2 was already released, and the release of Women and Children First was the first album that I consciously witnessed. That's it, the birth of the album and the promotion and being released and having to wait for it until in 2 months it comes, and so the excitement of waiting for a new album, that was the first time.
That's what kids are missing these days. I talked to somebody the other day, some kid was telling me, it's so cool. I got all my favorite music. I got it all downloaded on my computer. I don't even have to worry about having a place to keep it in my, that's cool. But they're missing the artwork and looking at the cool album cover. And you're right, the anticipation. I remember back in the day going to Tower Records, near where I lived, and checking out all the latest release dates, and I'd be saving my money to get the latest album by my favorite bands. People are missing out on that.
Yeah, me too. I spent every penny on albums.
Yeah.
And I was always buying albums and saving money to buy albums. And and this one was so special, and at the same time when it was released, they were going to play on a big festival in Holland. So there was a lot of promotion of them coming to Holland to play that festival.
Yeah, and
I was too young to get there, so I always felt sorry that I couldn't go to that particular gig.
And I imagine, Ron, as an artist yourself, once you get the CDs printed up and you hold it in your hand, it's got to be the ultimate feeling of accomplishment. Man, look at what I've created here.
Exactly. I want to have something physical. I need to look at it, need to be able to smell it, and that's what I'm old school. I talked to you before, I'm old school, so that's what I want.
Yeah, you and me both. And Women and Children First, I got to say my 2 favorite tracks, and The Cradle Will Rock and Everybody Wants Them. I love those 2 tracks off of that.
Yeah.
Well, Ron.
But they're all exceptional. Yeah.
Well, Ron, I tip my hat to you. Great musician. I love what you guys have put out so far. I can't wait to hear. We'll definitely have you back, my friend. Take care and have a great rest of your. I'm going to let you go because I know it's I'm in Los Angeles and you're near Amsterdam, so it's like 9 o'clock or 9:30 where you are. So take care and have a good night, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and we'll be in touch and keep on playing the song.
Yeah, and the interview will be going up probably sometime next week. I'll be sure to let you know, okay?
Yeah, sure. Perfect.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.